No, they're not.
They don't.
All right.
Has Maxwell or Ruby mentioned anything about the raid on Cyprus and Bo?
I'll be completely honest with you. Yes, I have spoken to Maxwell about it.
Okay.
I am not recalling the details on it. I was waiting for a report from you.
Yeah.
Last time I remember here.
Yeah.
But if we're going to talk about it, let's just go over the details.
Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna go sort of stepwise here. I was on a call. Went back onto channel 1. So I was doing something, and when I got on Main Freak, I think I may have been charging someone or something along those lines. So what happened next was, I think there was like a gang-related shooting, some sort of violent incident where class 2s were used. So I didn't have full context going in. One of the first things I asked for was like, who are our primary targets, right? As there were interference vehicles, and my interest at the time, as my interest continues to be, is like, who are the primaries, right? If interference is there, okay, that's all well and good, but primaries are important ones to target. The only one that was noted was a suspect wearing all brown, later identified as Bo. Someone that I did get visual on and confirmation on. And that confirmation was made multiple times, not just by me after having heard this, but those that were originally on the call. And then the call goes on for some time. We lose eyes on the Bo guy, and some short span of time takes place, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
To clarify, you said Bo guy?
Bo, the guy, Bo something. I'd have to look.
Oh, the name of the person. Bo.
The name, guy's name is Bo. Right.
All right.
And then we get eyes on him again in a vehicle over at Alta Street Apartments. And he's inside the vehicle with Luciano DiCenzo, who was not wearing a mask. Right? Chase then ensues, and that vehicle then approaches the water. Now, I don't see this visually, but it's on the radio, right? It's the main car being pursued. I'm back of my mind know that Bo's the guy with the weapon. And Ventura on the radio exclaims that Luciano got out and got onto a boat or a jet ski. It's in my report, but it's one of those two. And you can hear from his voice that it's one of those, like, okay, someone's getting on a jet ski, fuck it, right? No interest to pursue. No one's directed to pursue it. We just are now going after accomplices to whatever the hell happened, like reckless or felony obstruction or whatever. And in that very moment, I thought to myself, why the fuck are we letting this guy go? Why are we letting Luciano go? The guy's going to have the evidence. And it struck me quite clearly because it had, leading up to that point, been a pattern that I continue to see over and over again with like Polito robberies, Fleeca robberies, where we just let like the first person out of the vehicle and don't really give a shit. They end up getting on to doing like the jump from the Daily Globe onto La Puerta or whatever it is. Like very just like, you know, crime 101. The guy with the loot gets out of the vehicle and gets away in a different car, and we don't give a shit, which has always been odd to me. But especially in this case, if this was a serious scene where it had 8 to 12 units to begin, right, and there's gang related, whatever, why are we letting this guy out of the vehicle and just pretending it's not a big deal when the guy's going to have the shit? Especially if he's getting onto a boat. That's the point of what they're doing. It should be pretty evident to anybody, anybody with tenure.
Right.
Scene continues on, and we end up We may or may not have arrested somebody, but we ended up, most of the units end up breaking off the call, right? So it goes from really serious to like no one gives a shit anymore. Myself and the unit in Air 1 continued on the call, eventually tracking down not just Luciano, but Mason and Harry Brown. That chase continued on for another, like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something along those lines. Mr. Bow ends up getting apprehended at one of these stages. And he's in the cells while the pursuit is still going on. After this whole incident has ended, I get back to doing my my shift, and I notice that there's a raid warrant. I then notice because a raid is being conducted over at Cypress, and I open up that raid report because I'm interested. Right, we're setting up for this raid, and I immediately recognize that the raid warrant was written in bad faith. There is no reference, not even the slightest, that first comes the lie, right? That Mr. Bow was going eastbound on, I believe it was Capitol Boulevard, towards the Cypress area, and that he would have reasonably been able to go to his warehouse and stash his things, while conveniently leaving out the fact that Bow, for an extended period of time, was in a vehicle with Luciano DiCenzo, and he was dropped off at a water boat and was allowed to boat off. And at the very end of that statement, it reads something about, we believe in good faith, this and that, in the center. My conclusion of which is one of two. Either A, there's a gross misunderstanding of what good faith means, or number two, this was done intentionally to target Cypress, or whatever it might be, quite frankly.
This is the one with, I'm remembering correctly now, it has an arrow, right? There's an arrow pointing directions, kind of showing
Correct.
a path potentially.
That is
You said
right.
correct. Okay. Okay. So, and he's banking. The warrant was placed out there with essentially stating that once we got him in our custody, he did not have the weapon on him. Is that right?
Correct. The inference is, so it was that he was going in the direction of his warehouse when they lost him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back and when arrested, did not have an AK-47, yet was found with an AK-47 and a photograph. It leaves out the fact that he was in a vehicle with an individual whom was dropped off and got onto a boat, which by our own training, we would know is a more than probable. It was more than probable that there was a handoff that had been taking place. And that detail was not even, that detail was conveniently left out. So.
Okay, so again, I just want to be very clear. Lost eyes.
Yep.
Which is when we're alleging, the warrant is alleging that weapon was stashed, came back up at the apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Another chase ensued, which he was subsequently taken into custody, is how it was portrayed.
Correct. And what's odd about it is, like, even if you were to play back.
Let me just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to play this out real quick. So, found at apartments, subsequently arrested after that. However,
they took a
we're
photo.
Not counting the whole part where he went down by the docks and then fled from police there, right?
Sorry, you lost me there. So,
Bo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bo's the one who got on the boat and fled, right?
No, Luciano did.
Luciano did. Okay. And Bo was found after
who
that.
90%, like it was like, I knew it in that moment. Luciano's got the shit. So
That was a good chance.
we had Bo. We lost Bo for a handful of minutes. We then found Bo again with Luciano.
At the apartments.
Correct.
Okay.
And Luciano then was dropped off at a boat, at which point he left, and then Bo was then, hot potato was played with him until he was arrested. And
essentially, the warrant has left out the aspect of Luciano.
Correct.
In
what was a traditional handoff strategy. Like this, it's not even, it's, and we didn't even attempt to pursue him. We let Luciano go. Ventura let him go. Left it out of the raid warrant, and he's the writer of it. So that's not good faith in the slightest. That's like, how the fuck is this guy writing warrants to begin with, quite frankly?
Was it in his
or
report?
number two, is it intentional?
What's you happen to have the let me look up the search warrant here. It's tied to 25. Wait, that's a raid receipt. What's the initial report number? Is a report referenced in here at all?
I wish I bookmarked it. Maybe if we search for
25232. Okay, so it'll be under incident somewhere.
A South Shambles raid, 15797. And then there is report number 25241 that stems off it.
15797. So this is the raid itself, is that right?
Let me see. So there's the raid 15797. It looks like it is okay. They got the raid receipt. All right. And then there should be a reference to the.
I don't see the report even referenced.
The
search warrant.
Wait, where's the raid? Wait, what is this? Okay, this is the raid.
15792. There it is. It's in the bottom of it. Bottom of the search warrant. 15792.
Wait, where?
In the search warrant, the last paragraph.
Okay, I see him now.
I just want to read his statement inside of this. One moment. Another Radic. Doing all right? How are you? Yeah, I got released this morning. I'm doing all right. In a quick meeting right now. I'm in a meeting right now. As soon as I'm done with it, I'll give you a call. All right. Thanks, Radish. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Just want to read this here one moment.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, this is worse the second time I read it.
He doesn't even mention, besides mentioning that Luciano DiCenzo was inside the vehicle, he doesn't mention that he got out of the vehicle at any point.
Yeah. There's clear omission of fact here. And the thing that, quite frankly, pissed me off is that Mr. Bummer was not in possession of a Class 2 firearm at the time of his arrest. Officers have a good faith belief that Bummer stored the Class 2 firearm that was in his possession in his property in Cypress Fast, blah, 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 blah. Which is an absolutely cooked statement to make. The problem too here is, like, if I'm a judge, I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna sign it, because with the omission of that key information, which wasn't something like, had it been someone else that had witnessed these things, and let's say they didn't bring it up to the writer of the raid report, at least it could be understandable because the writer of that raid report didn't know, and they're writing it in good faith. However, Ventura was the one that not only witnessed this, but was the one that got on radio and noted that we're not going to be going after Luciano, despite the origin of the call, the photograph, the gang-related, all of that. So by conveniently leaving that out, it paints a picture that is intentionally inaccurate and then stamps it with, "We believe in good faith." And that's just the beginning, mind you. That doesn't include what happened during the raid, in which not only the weapon wasn't recovered, but we didn't even attempt to go through the rest of his assets. To me, it's rather clear. This guy might be a clean guy. Let's go into his warehouse. I don't know how else the needle lands.
I'm just reading through things here and thinking things out.
It's such a leap from what officers knew. It's why Brady violation had to be put in. You can't omit key information, right? You could omit key information if, say, you reasonably wouldn't have known it to be material. But there's no way this would be material. It wouldn't not be material.
I mean, there is a problem. I mean, yeah, there's. I'm very curious to what state the report was in when that warrant was filed as well. It doesn't even matter at this point because he doesn't have that info in there.
What's not in there? Sorry.
The fact that Luciano there got outside and got into a boat and fled.
That's the concerning bit. It's like he witnessed that. He knows there's no way, unless this guy's on drugs like every moment of his, you know what I'm saying? There's no way you're not, as law enforcement, you don't know what the hell's going on when he's getting out of the vehicle with getting onto a boat. Like, the guy's got all the shit, right? To leave it out. And what makes it worse is in this raid warrant itself, it notes that, and I quote, instead, Mr. Bummer was afforded the opportunity to tell officers where the firearm was located so that it could be recovered. Mr. Bummer did not provide any locations, but instead some elaborate, quote unquote, story in which he handed it to individuals he claimed were Hydra kidnappers. While the writer says, though officers are confident they were simply his associates who were attempting to help him flee. Now, any judge that reads this is just like, I want to make it clear, because this was brought up in the conversation I had with Maxwell and Ruby, is that the DOJ would never have this warrant due to its omission. There's no way a judge is going to read this and, like, without having that extra information, come to the conclusions that I'm presenting right now. As for the, you mentioned the state of the report, we can't say because this was being done while we were actively chasing the others, including Luciano.
Right.
I was literally on the call. I found Luciano, Harry, and Clark Mason while everyone fucked off. It was me and Air One. We tracked them down. We found them. We called units. It was crickets, and they're out there while we're actively on the very call, writing the shit.
Which was brought up a lot earlier, because this looks very, to an extent, predatory now, bringing it up 22 days after.
Wait, what was added?
No, I'm saying this looks predatory. If I when I bring this to the BCSO, either to the sheriff, bringing it up 22 days after, so it's definitely have a taste in its mouth, right?
I don't. What? Who? McNulty?
Yes.
Why would it look predatory?
22 days after, it's going to look like we're sitting here digging through the reports.
I don't think anyone's feelings should be considered.
That's.
I mean, what is McNulty?
Listen, I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing this up. This needs to have answers to it.
Yeah.
This needs to be brought up.
For reference, I originally brought this up. I want to say literally 2 days later, 3 days later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Maxwell brought it up, and we're going to get more information from that report. But obviously, things transpired there. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to address this here.
Yeah.
Is your statement in this?
It was in the report, yes. I did not put in the extra bits that made officers look bad. And one of the things that I'd asked for was, what are we going to do? Because to me, we targeted this man, and we targeted what we believe to be a clean guy with malicious intent. Further established by the fact that we only went after the warehouse, did not go into his apartments, did not even check his vehicles, and allowed Luciano to get away and instead actively write a raid warrant while that call was still active. Thus, not only leaving out evidence. I mean, to me, this isn't that much different than me seeing Flippy with a gun, with a class 2, letting him drive off, and then saying, haha. And I just lock all his shit down and say, I saw Flippy with a gun. I want to go on his properties. Right? The second part to this was, I'm not trying to get into the middle of a bunch of bullshit, because I've gone through this rodeo before. This rodeo before. And, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here is I'm not trying to drum up some shit. Something needs to be done, but I also don't want to put myself in the crosshairs if we're not going to do anything. You get what I'm saying? Otherwise, I'm just going to be dealing with bullshit while on duty.
No, you're right. No, you're fine. I'm going to bring it up straight to Ventura.
Okay.
I'm going to take it straight to him. We'll have a conversation.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Okay. And what do we do with Bo?
Well, I got to have that conversation with him here.
Yeah.
I mean, the evidence here within itself. What do you think with Bo?
If you want me to going to Ventura, why would you not go to the sheriff? I guess.
I want answers as to why it was left out. I want to know why there's no statements in here stating why they're, the whole incident is left out. Why are you leaving out the fact that Luciano got out on a boat, both in your statement on the search warrant and in your personal statement?
Right.
It's a key point. Why was it left out? Did he not see that? He was there, right? You said he's the one that called it.
I agree with you. I think my general concern would be as follows: is that, if it was a officer within, my concern would be that it sounds like he's going to be given an opportunity to come up with some bullshit, because that's what this warrant is.
How do you come up with something to cover it up when it's already in writing, in stone? What could he even come up with?
I think it would be worth weighing the sheriff's opinion on it, and if he thinks it's predatory, that's his problem. I think if given the facts, he should understand that this is pretty concerning. I think all charges on both should be dropped.
All charges on both should be dropped? Oh,
absolutely.
on Bo.
Yeah.
On Bo, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bad raid. The warrant is. If you want me to be honest, sir, if I saw a officer write something like this, I would strip him of his rank immediately, and that's why I'm a little taken aback by. Let's get Ventura's side first.
Listen, talking to people is important. Understanding their side. What if he does come back and say he didn't witness it?
I heard him on the radio.
Right, and that's a different story, right? He called on the radio. What? Everybody deserves a conversation at the very least to find out what's going on.
I agree.
Not to say that we're not going to the sheriff. I won't go to the sheriff. What kind of defense do you think he could even put up that would admonish him of this?
Officers are very good at playing stupid and coming up with things.
I mean, to be honest, this whole warrant is trash. I actually even blame the DOJ for it. I'm not saying solely. Don't take that wrong. But I don't think this warrant, even if everything he put on there was true, was good. There is a massive. He could have gone anywhere. He could have thrown that out the window. He could have dumped it in the water.
He was gone for minutes.
I don't even think.
Well, the dumping. To be fair, dumping in the water or could have. Those are not reasonable, right? But it is beyond reasonable to have handed it off.
Anything in that time.
Yeah.
If we could say VCB on him and in 2 or 3 minutes end up at Alt Street Apartments, anything could have transpired between there. Anything.
Yeah.
He could have put in a dumpster.
For me, it's. I agree. I see where you're going with this. I think for me, it's like we got him again. He couldn't have done anything other than. Sir, the timeline for him to between the VCB, him then hiding, and then going to his apartment, putting the things in there, coming out of the apartment, getting another vehicle, and then linking up with Luciano, it doesn't even match the timeline.
Yeah, I mean it's all messy. Like I said, now, I'm pretty sure I remember reading this in the moment. Day of or in the after and kind of saying that's never going to get passed by DOJ, coming to find out it got passed by DOJ. So
yeah,
and that was not even reading details, just looking at evidence provided.
Yeah,
that photo kind of I don't know, that in itself should be enough to say it's not 51% in my mind. I'm going to address this.
Okay.
I appreciate you bringing it to me.
Absolutely. Like I said, I transparently after that situation, I have not been around. And I'm just going to be rather forward. Even having brought this up, and maybe my expectations are a little bit too high, but you know, I find this serious enough that, you know, when I bring it up to my superiors, as I did, having to wait upon this, that, and the third, I've seen it before. It's just we're not going to do it, right? It's red tape, right? And, you know.
It needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Where it goes from there, that's going to be up to the sheriff there, but we need to absolutely address it.
And, okay. All right. Okay. If you need anything from me, please do let me know. I do believe very strongly that they need to drop this. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know how I can. I don't know how I can go see that go to court without that information getting out. And I want to be clear here. I'm not talking about leaking anything, but they need to know, right?
The right thing to do.
Yeah.
I'll have that conversation here with the sheriff.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The sheriff of Ventura here.
I'll be out there. If anything else comes up, feel free to send me an email. Obviously, my attendance is all over the place.
Will do.